Everybody wants a new life, but not everybody is willing to do what it takes to start one. See, a new life doesn't start when your environment changes. It doesn't start when you move to a new city or when you get a new relationship or when you land a new job. A new life begins the moment you decide to renew your mind. If you want a different reality, you have to think on a different frequency. You can't build a new future with an old mindset. Most people are trapped not by their past, but by their thinking about the past. They rehearse old failures, cling to old identities, and reinforce limiting beliefs until they've convinced themselves that transformation is for other people, but not for them. If you're going to start a new life, the first thing you've got to do is break the agreement you made with your past. That version of you may have been broke, bitter, betrayed, but that's not the whole story, and that's not the final chapter. You've got to stop making covenants with who you were and start making commitments to who you're becoming. The next thing you have to do is stop living on autopilot. Too many people are existing instead of living. They're drifting through life like a leaf in the wind, blown by emotions, circumstances, and other people's opinions. You've got to design the life you want. That means writing the vision, making it plain, getting clear on who you are, what you want, and where you're going. Don't wait for a miracle to happen when God already gave you the power to make decisions. Direction always determines destination. So if you want to change where you end up, change the path you're on. But let's not get it twisted. A vision without discipline is just a delusion. A new life isn't built by the big promises you make on New Year's Eve. It's built by the small choices you make every single day. What you eat, what you read, who you spend time with, what time you get up. The new you requires new habits. And here's the truth. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. You want a new life? Build new patterns that serve your purpose. And speaking of purpose, let's talk about people. Because some of you are trying to build a new life while staying in environments that were designed to keep you small. You can't walk into a big future while staying loyal to people who only remember the small version of you. If the people around you don't challenge you, stretch you, and speak life into you, it's time to change your circle. Some relationships are assignments, others are assassins. You've got to discern the difference. Finally, if you're serious about starting a new life, you're going to have to walk by faith, not just by sight. You won't always see the full picture. You won't always feel ready, but faith means moving even when the facts don't line up yet. Faith means trusting that your Creator didn't bring you this far just to leave you. A new life will always require a new level of belief, not just in yourself, but in the God who created you on purpose, for a purpose. You weren't born to repeat cycles. You were born to break them. You weren't created to survive. You were created to build, to lead, and to transform. So today, make the decision, not just to change, but to become. Because your new life doesn't start when something changes around you. It starts when something changes within you. And that can start right now. To truly start a new life, you have to begin at the root, and that root is your mind. Everything you experience on the outside flows from what you believe on the inside. You can change your job, you can change your location, you can change your appearance, but if your thinking stays the same, your life will eventually cycle back to the same patterns. That's why real transformation doesn't begin with external change. It begins with internal renovation. You have to renew your mind before you rebuild your life. Because if your mindset is still shaped by fear, lack, guilt, or shame, it doesn't matter how much you try to level up, those inner beliefs will sabotage your outer results. A renewed life requires a renewed perspective. You have to begin thinking on a higher level. You've got to stop seeing yourself through the lens of your mistakes and start seeing yourself through the lens of your potential. Stop asking, what did I lose? And start asking, what can I create? This is why some people get opportunity after opportunity and still end up back where they started. Because the outer opportunity collided with an inner limitation. You cannot outperform the image you hold of yourself in your own mind. If deep down you still see yourself as unworthy, as broken, as someone who always messes it up, then your behavior will subconsciously work to confirm that belief, even if you don't realize it. Renewing your mind means reprogramming the beliefs that have been running your life on autopilot. It means questioning the thoughts you've accepted as truth just because they've been there for a long time. It means being intentional about what you feed your mind, what you watch, what you listen to, who you listen to. It means creating an inner environment that supports the new life you want, not the old life you're trying to escape. Because here's the truth. A new life starts with new thinking. If you don't change the way you think, you'll keep recreating the same situations even in new seasons. You have the power to renew your mind, and when your mind is renewed, your reality must follow. You don't need a new year. You don't need permission. You don't need everything to be perfect. What you need is a decision to take ownership of your thoughts, to elevate your mindset, and to align your beliefs with the life you want to live. Change your thoughts and your life cannot stay the same. That's how you start fresh from the inside out. And if you're serious about starting a new life, there's one thing you absolutely must do. You have to break the silent agreements you made with your past. See, many people say they want change, but deep down, they're still loyal to the old version of themselves. They're still in emotional contracts with failure, with shame, with disappointment. They're still defining themselves by moments that should have been lessons, not life sentences. An agreement is powerful. It's not just something you say, it's something you believe, something you align with, something you allow to shape your identity. And whether you realize it or not, some of the beliefs you're carrying today are agreements you made in pain, in confusion, in weakness. Maybe you failed once and you agreed with the lie that you're not good enough. Maybe someone hurt you and you agree with the lie that you're unlovable. Maybe you tried to step out before and it didn't work, so you agreed with the lie that you should stay small and safe. But the truth is, those agreements were based on survival, not on purpose. And what got you through the storm is not what will take you into your destiny. To break those agreements, you have to confront them. You have to get brutally honest with yourself about what you've been believing. Not what you say you believe, but what you live like you believe. Because actions don't lie. If you say you're confident but keep hiding your voice, that's an old agreement talking. If you say you believe in abundance but keep making decisions from fear and lack, that's not faith, that's a contract with limitation. Breaking the agreement means releasing the identity that came with the pain. It means recognizing that just because something happened to you doesn't mean it has to define you. You are not your failure, you are not your trauma. You are not the worst thing you've ever done or the worst thing that was ever done to you. You are more than that. But to live like it, you have to stop identifying with the version of you that was just trying to survive. This isn't about forgetting the past, it's about refusing to be bound by it. Your past may explain you, but it does not define you. You can honor where you've come from without allowing it to determine where you're going. When you break agreement with your past, you're not ignoring reality. You're choosing a higher one. You're saying, I am not who I was. I am who I decide to be today. So if you're going to start a new life, draw the line. Say goodbye to the narratives that kept you small. Renounce the labels that were placed on you in weakness. Cancel the contracts that no longer serve the person you're becoming, and step into your future with a clean slate, not just in the world around you, but in the identity you carry inside of you. You're not bound, you're becoming. But becoming begins with breaking. Break the agreement and become who you were born to be. One of the biggest traps people fall into is believing that life just happens. They move through each day reacting to circumstances, waiting on luck, hoping something good will eventually come their way. But the truth is, a powerful life, a purposeful life, is designed, not stumbled into. If you don't take responsibility for where your life is headed, you'll wake up one day stuck in a reality you never wanted, shaped by decisions you never made on purpose. You weren't born to drift, you were born to direct. You've been given the authority to choose, to plan, to create. But when you don't take that power seriously, you end up repeating cycles instead of rewriting your story. Drifting feels easy at first. You don't have to think. You don't have to be intentional. You don't have to face the hard questions. But what starts as comfort always turns into chaos. A life without direction always ends in frustration. Designing your life means getting clear, crystal clear, about what you want, who you want to become, and where you want to go. Clarity is power. Until you know what you're aiming for, you'll keep hitting things that don't matter. You'll say yes to distractions. You'll get caught up in urgency instead of staying rooted in purpose. But once you define your vision, once you write it down, once you make it real, you give your mind and spirit something to align with. You stop reacting and start creating. Don't underestimate the power of a written vision. When you put it on paper, you give it life, you give it form, you give yourself something to be accountable to. Vague goals produce vague results. You don't get what you want, you get what you build. So, what are you building? Are your daily actions in alignment with your destiny, or are they just a reflection of your distractions? Designing your life also means designing your standards. What will you allow? What will you no longer tolerate? What kind of relationships will you invest in? What kind of work will you commit to? What does excellence look like to you? And are you willing to pay the price to live it out? These aren't questions for the faint of heart, but they're the foundation of a meaningful life. You weren't created to live by default. You were created to live by design. You are the architect of your future, and that blueprint is drawn with intention, not impulse. Stop waiting on permission. Stop living in someday. Your vision is your responsibility. Nobody is coming to design your life for you. If you don't set the direction, life will set it for you, and you may not like where it takes you. Decide what you want, declare it, design it, and then get to work building it on purpose, with purpose, and for purpose. Because drifting is easy, but destiny is intentional, and your future is too important to leave to chance. Once you've renewed your mind and committed to a new vision, the next step is to build habits that align with that new identity. Because here's the truth. Your habits will always tell the truth about your future. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. You can dream all you want. You can speak affirmations every morning, but if your daily behavior doesn't match the person you say you're becoming, you're not building a new life. You're fantasizing about one. The life you want isn't built in a single breakthrough moment. It's built brick by brick, choice by choice, habit by habit. Every action you take is a vote for the kind of person you believe you are. So if you say you want to be confident, disciplined, and successful, but your habits are rooted in fear, procrastination, and inconsistency, then you're casting votes for the version of you you're supposed to be leaving behind. The difference between the old you and the new you isn't just what you believe, it's how you behave. New habits are how you train your brain and body to operate at a new level. That means you've got to audit your life with brutal honesty. What are the habits that are helping you grow? What are the habits that are keeping you stuck? What patterns do you keep repeating that are secretly sabotaging your progress? It's not about being perfect, it's about being aligned. When your habits support your vision, momentum is automatic. You don't have to rely on hyper motivation because your system carries you forward. You wake up earlier not because it's trendy, but because you've decided your future matters. You exercise discipline not to impress people, but to protect your purpose. Your new life requires habits that serve your highest self, not the version of you that was addicted to. And building these habits doesn't have to be overwhelming. Start small, start consistent, one decision at a time. Get serious about your morning routine, protect your time, feed your mind with content that sharpens you, surround yourself with accountability. Track your progress, celebrate the wins, learn from the setbacks. Over time, these small disciplines compound into big results because it's not what you do once that transforms your life, it's what you do daily. Discipline isn't punishment, discipline is proof that you respect your calling. And when you build habits that serve your future, you're not just changing your schedule, you're reprogramming your identity. So decide today, will your habits keep you tied to who you were, or will they build a bridge to who you're becoming? You already have the power. Now it's time to act like it every day. The people you surround yourself with have more influence on your destiny than most are willing to admit. Energy is contagious. Mindsets are transferable. Conversations are seeds. And if you're trying to build a new life while staying around people who only know the old you, you're setting yourself up for conflict between your past and your potential. You cannot create a future that looks different while staying loyal to environments that only recognize who you used to be. Some people in your life are mirrors. They reflect either your past or your future. If you're surrounded by people who only see you as the version you used to be, broken, insecure, doubtful, inconsistent, then even your growth becomes threatening to them. Not because they're evil, but because your evolution reminds them of what they're avoiding in themselves. Growth exposes comfort, and not everyone is ready to confront that. You have to be intentional about relationships. You need people around you who speak to your destiny, not just your history. People who challenge your excuses instead of coddling them. People who remind you who you are, even on the days you forget. People who are living at the level you aspire to, not so you can copy them, but so you can normalize excellence, responsibility, discipline, and vision. The wrong circle will drain your drive. They'll minimize your ambition. They'll laugh at your goals, downplay your dreams, and distract you with gossip and drama. And if you don't set boundaries, that noise becomes your normal. But the right circle, they will stretch you. They will call out the greatness in you. They will celebrate your wins and hold you accountable when you slip. They won't let you settle because they see the future you're fighting for, even when you're tired. You don't need a crowd. You need alignment. One right relationship can do more for your growth than 10 years of effort in the wrong direction. So ask yourself, do the people around me inspire me or drain me? Do they remind me of my calling or keep me chained to my comfort zone? Are they helping me grow or are they slowing my progress? This doesn't mean you cut everyone off. It means you become a steward of your energy. It means you start investing your time in relationships that sharpen you, challenge you, and elevate you. You weren't meant to build your new life alone, but you were meant to be selective about who builds it with you. Your circle matters. Your connections are either fertilizer or poison to your purpose. So be bold enough to make hard decisions. Be wise enough to discern who belongs in your next chapter. And be humble enough to connect with people who've already walked the path you're trying to walk. The right relationships won't just support your new life, they'll accelerate it. Starting a new life means stepping into territory you've never walked before. And when you're walking into the unknown, you can't rely solely on what you see. You have to trust in something greater. Sight shows you what is, faith shows you what can be. If you're only moving when things look safe, sound, and certain, you're not walking by faith. You're walking by comfort. But destiny doesn't live in comfort zones. Destiny lives on the other side of uncertainty. Faith is not just a belief, it's a behavior. It's acting in alignment with what you believe before the evidence shows up. It's saying yes to a future that hasn't materialized yet, simply because you trust the vision placed inside of you more than the circumstances around you. Too many people delay obedience, waiting for perfect conditions. But if you wait until everything looks right, you'll never move. Faith isn't about having no fear. It's about refusing to let fear have the final say. Your new life requires decisions that won't always make sense to other people. Sometimes not even to you. You might leave a job that looks secure to pursue a calling that feels risky. You might step out of a relationship that's familiar but not fruitful. You might invest in something that doesn't offer immediate returns, but your spirit knows it's the right soil. Faith is trusting that your steps are being ordered even when the path isn't fully revealed. Walking by faith also means speaking and acting as if what you've prayed for is already in motion. You don't wait for the breakthrough to start preparing. You prepare because you know the breakthrough is coming. You don't shrink your goals to match your current resources. You stretch your belief to match your calling. Faith is the currency of the future. It's what allows you to build before the doors open, to show up when no one's watching, and to keep going when nothing around you seems to be changing. But faith isn't passive. It doesn't mean sitting still and hoping. Faith moves, faith works, faith builds. Faith says, I don't need all the answers to take the next step. I just need the conviction that I'm not walking alone. And you're not. The same power that gave you the vision will give you the provision, but only if you're willing to take the first step without seeing the whole staircase. You won't always feel ready. You won't always have confirmation. But when you walk by faith, you learn to trust the voice inside more than the noise outside. You stop waiting for signs and start becoming the sign. You stop following comfort and start following conviction. And that's when the real transformation begins. The new life you desire isn't waiting on everything to line up, it's waiting on you to move. Faith is your permission slip. So walk forward, not because you see everything clearly, but because you know your purpose is real, your steps are ordered, and your future is too important to wait any longer. Starting a new life isn't just about changing what you do, it's about transforming who you are. It's not about running from your past, but rising into your purpose. And that process begins in the mind, takes shape through your decisions, and becomes real through consistent, aligned action. You must renew your thinking before you can rebuild your life. You must break agreements with who you were so you can make space for who you're becoming. You must design your future with intention, not drift through life, hoping it gets better on its own. This journey requires habits that serve your higher self, not the comfort of your past. It demands relationships that speak to your future, not the ones that keep you trapped in yesterday's story. And through it all, you have to walk by faith, not by what you see, not by what you feel, but by what you know deep in your spirit is meant for you. You are not starting from scratch, you are starting from strength. Everything you've been through has prepared you for this moment, but now it's time to choose. Will you stay loyal to the familiar, or will you step boldly into the future that's calling you? The new life you want is possible. Not easy, but possible. And if you're willing to think differently, act intentionally, believe fearlessly, and walk faithfully, there is no limit to the transformation you can create. The power is in your hands. The decision is yours. So don't just dream about a new life, build it. One thought, one habit, one bold step at a time.